Potatoes and onions shouldn't be stored together because onions produce and emit ethylene gas, which speeds up the ripening process and can cause nearby potatoes to rot and spoil more quickly. This is not a bug, it's actually a flower, Yulin magnolias. The smell of newborn babies excites women in the same way an addict craving for drugs enjoys his fix, according to scientists. There is a 600-year-old and 240-paged book called the Voynich Manuscript, written in a language that's still completely unknown today. A restaurant in Malaysia has a discount system depending on how thin you are. 2 minutes is the longest you could survive without a space suit on the other planets in our solar system. On Mars and Mercury, you'd stay alive for as long as you can hold your breath, about 2 min, and Venus is so hot that you'd instantly be vaporized. But just like Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune, Uranus is a gas giant with no surface to land on, so you'd descend forever into the gassy atmosphere until you are crushed by the pressure, which takes less than a second to kill you. This is what 10 centimeters of dilation looks like. That 10 centimeters is how big a woman's cervix measures across during childbirth. This is why mothers deserve all the things. Tilda Stephanie Christian. Bad allergies this year? Blame urban planners. If cities had planted female, fruit-bearing trees instead of male, pollen-producing trees, seasonal allergies wouldn't be so bad. Had cities only planted female trees, few would ever be pollinated and bear fruit, the issue cities tried to avoid by planting male trees. There are only 2 people in the world at any given time that know the secret formula for Coca-Cola, and they are never allowed to fly in the same airplane in case it crashes. 9-year-old Daniel Cabrera's father died in prison. His mother makes $1.77 a day, and their house burned down, but he still uses the light from the local McDonald's to do his homework every night. A photo of him went viral and people donated cash, school supplies, and even a college scholarship. Parents of LGBT children at the first Pride Parade, 1973. Which windows, or diagonal windows, exist almost exclusively in Vermont? The name comes from the superstition that witches cannot fly their broomsticks through slanted windows. In 1982, the Almeida family lost their pet tortoise, Manuela, while their house was being renovated. 30 years later, they were cleaning out the attic after their father died and finally found Manuela alive. They think she was able to survive by eating termites that lived in the piles of furniture their dad had been hoarding. Did you ever wonder why we are not supposed to drink seawater? A kidney can't make urine from a concentration of salts of more than 2%. Seawater is made of 3% salt, so if we drink it, the kidneys have to use existing water from our body to dilute and absorb the extra salt, which in turn makes us even thirstier. This keeps happening until we die of dehydration. Sound travels through granite rock 10 times faster than it travels through air. A poacher has been ordered to watch the Disney film Bambi at least once a month during his year-long sentence after being convicted of illegally killing hundreds of deer. There is no single food that provides all the nutrients that humans need, except for breast milk. There was a Russian woman named Maria Oktyabrskaya, whose husband was killed by the Nazis in WWII. To avenge her husband's death, she sold all her possessions to purchase her own T-34, which she named Fighting Girlfriend, and with permission from the Soviet Union, she hunted Nazis using her own tank. The crew of Return of the Jedi mocked the character design of Admiral Akbar, deeming it too ugly. Director Richard Marquand refused to alter it, saying, "I think it's good to tell kids that good people aren't necessarily good-looking people, and that bad people aren't necessarily ugly people." There is a sport called archery tag that is basically like dodgeball, but with foam-tipped arrows. David Letterman created a scholarship for the average C student, recognizing that it's not all about marks, some are extraordinary and amazing in other ways. While this sounds completely counterintuitive, all substances have what's called a triple point, or the exact temperature and pressure at which the three main states of matter gas, liquid, and solid are at equilibrium. For water, that point exists at 0.01 degrees Celsius, 32.018 degrees Fahrenheit, and 611.657 pascals of partial vapor pressure. As the temperature and pressure fluctuate in tiny amounts around that triple point, a frozen liquid can start to boil, and a boiling liquid can freeze solid. There have been several vigilant groups in recent years, including a man named Rodrigo Duterte, that transformed the murder capital of the Philippines to the most peaceful city in Southeast Asia by killing multiple drug leaders and traffickers. He was dubbed the Punisher by Time magazine. A bus driver in Paris kicked every single passenger off his bus because they would not make room for a man in a wheelchair. He then asked the wheelchair-bound man to come on board and drove off with him as the sole passenger. Actress Jennifer O'Neill was considered for the role of Kate McRae in the 1979 Disney film The Black Hole. However, director Gary Nelson felt that she needed to cut her beautiful, long hair in order to fit the role. Despite protesting at first, the summer of 1942 star agreed and had the haircut, while drinking several glasses of wine. She crashed her car on the way back home and ended up losing the part. A man took this photo of his young daughter playing in their living room. The resulting image shows a ghostly, crawling form of light energy in front of her. In 2013, a Brazilian woman laced her vagina with poison so that the oral sex would kill her husband. Pupil duplex is a rare condition where there are two pupils in one eye. Before his death, Stephen Hawking theorized that if artificial intelligence doesn't kill us all first, then the Earth will be a sizzling ball of fire by 2600. Climate change protesters standing on the melting ice cubes with the noose around their neck to demonstrate climate change. US Air Force had plans to blow off the moon by a nuclear bomb. The project remained a secret for about 45 years. An elephant destroyed a house in a remote village in Bengal and then turned to head back into the forest when a baby trapped under the rubble began crying. The elephant turned back and gently removed every last bit of debris covering the baby with their trunk.